Hey, Dylan, how are you? Can you hear me? Hey, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm
Good.
not presentable today, so I'm not turning up.
Perfect. No problem. Isn't that the beauty of this whole thing? You can choose, if we could just go through life, saying, hey, look, I'm going to choose whether or not you can see me or not. That would be great.
Well, I will. I have been getting up and getting dressed. Not like I would go to work, but it helps a lot. I think. I mean, I'm dressed, but it's not.
Yeah,
You know
perfect.
what
Well,
I'm saying.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have every right to do so. That's absolutely fine. So, hey, Eric, how are you, man? Oh, muted.
Hey Bob, how's it going? Now you can.
Good. Good deal. Let's see.
Hey Renee. Oh, there she is.
There's Renee. Hey, Renee. We see Dylan, and then all right. Let's see what else we got here. So we'll get. Hopefully, Cyndee will jump on here any moment. How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Good deal. Now, Eric, are we just kind of wait and see mode? When's the actual due date again?
The due date is Tuesday. We had another ultrasound. We had a doctor's appointment. I'm talking like me, but it wasn't me because I'm not allowed to go to any of this even right now. So it's
Yeah,
not
right.
me.
I know. See.
But we had a doctor's appointment yesterday, and they wanted to do some double checking. So the double checking, she had to go run and get a sonogram, but everything looks great. So the due date is Tuesday.
Nice. Beautiful.
And then privately, I'll tell you about a good real estate transaction, and I think Cyndee knows about it as well.
Oh, cool. Good deal. All right, we got more people jumping. I'm going to switch to my Brady Bunch mode so I can see more people. Let's see.
Hey, Bob, is that picture from Europe?
That is from Europe. That's actually Geneva, Switzerland.
Okay, I was going to say Switzerland. I didn't pinpoint it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's the Alps kind of in the background. It's kind of old Geneva is right in front of you. That was a picture from the hotel room.
Did you go to Lake Geneva, or did you get any tour of that, Bob? While you were there?
We did, and we also jumped into because Geneva's right on the southern tip, if you will, of Switzerland, and we went there specifically because Joseph is taking French, so we wanted a really cool place, but also where they speak Swiss French there, as opposed to if you go to one of the other parts of Switzerland. What's the other one? Like Zurich, it's more Swiss German. So it's kind of interesting how they go back and forth. So, but it's good. Let me see if I got who else we got on here. Let's see if I can expand it a little bit more.
Presidential as it relates to Canada.
If you guys hear somebody talking in the background, that's my SIPS class going on at the same time.
Oh, that's your sales class. Okay, we do hear that going on in the background.
And I'll turn them down even a little bit more.
Okay, that's.
And then if you hear like nail guns happening too, that's the roof being shot into before the baby comes because.
See. Yeah, the last thing you want is get that baby down for a nap and then have nail guns going. You better get that project finished quick.
It was leaking here yesterday, and we didn't have a leak before we took the roof off. It's just something like we felt like we needed to do before. Wow, yeah. So back in the game, feeling it.
There you
Lots
go.
of stuff going on. It's awesome.
That is good. See, activity. We're coming out. You saw the news yesterday. We're coming out.
Yeah, finding cures. All right. Opening stuff up. And
make America open again. That's what I'm calling it.
Oh, I like that.
To go. All right. I see. I got Alyssa. Hey, Cyndee, are you here yet? I don't hear her. If not, we'll kind of. I know Maureen sent her an email. Mara, sent her an email. Oh, there's Cyndee. She's coming on now. She's so highly sought after. She goes from Zoom to Zoom.
You are not kidding. And today I'm zooming to you from my new listing that a photographer had to take a picture, and I'm like, all right, do the outside. I'm busy. Come up after.
That's too funny. Good deal. Awesome. Awesome. It sounds like it's a vacant listing. Is that correct?
It is a vacant listing.
Very perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
So therefore, we don't necessarily have to have our new form signed. We won't get all into that. And your gloves. Oh, mask. All right. Good job. Atta girl. Too good. Well, that's perfect. Hey, Cyndee. Now, one of the things, obviously, we wanted to bring Cyndee on. If you guys remember at our office meetings last week, this week we're finishing up private times, if you will, with all of our panelists. And then Cyndee wasn't one of our panelists at our office meeting, but I mentioned that Pro is doing some great stuff with their training, making that accessible to everybody and all those great things, as well as I'm a firm believer that coming out of this, right, that data is going to be critical, right? That it's going to be a differentiator between you and your competition is knowing how to properly communicate with your sphere and potential clients, everybody else. Okay, now that we're on our way back out, what does that mean? What does that mean for prices? What has happened over the last 4 or 5 weeks? And now where are we and where are we headed? And not that we have a crystal ball, but I was excited because Pro came up with some really cool statistics, and they're doing that. And I don't want to take anything from Cyndee. Basically, it's updating every day for a rolling 4-week kind of thing. Is that right, Cyndee?
Yeah. So I've got even more good stuff to tell you on that. We just improved it yesterday, and if you let me,
can I make you the host?
I was going to say, I think I can just share my screen.
Yeah, let me just do this. I can
gotcha.
actually make you the host, and that way you can manage it even better.
Okay.
All right, so I am going to do that now. All right, you should have received a notice that you are now the host.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up the site I want to come up with here.
Cool.
All right, I got it. Let me just get back in here and share my screen.
And by the way, it's great to see everybody. I get a chance to name everybody that's there, but we got quite a crew on, so that's fantastic.
All right, let me see. Share my screen. The others will stop sharing their screen. This will stop others from sharing. Yeah, I want to continue. Okay. Let's stop. All right. Yeah, got a lot of good stuff coming. All right, let me see if I can speaker view.
If
Can
you
you
just go
see
down,
my screen?
we can, but yeah, just click on share, I think, and then that'll share your desktop. If that's what
I can see your screen.
Education at Pro. Can you see that right now? My screen has.
Yes.
Yes, got it.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to show you guys. So actually the history of how this happened was I was at home doing these calculations by hand. And because I knew that I wanted to be able to spot the trend. So after I created a whole spreadsheet, I went to David at Pro and said, is there a way we can automate this and just share it with everybody? So this is it right here, these market reports delivered daily. We just added something that people were asking for yet. Wasn't using, I worked with buyers mostly in the downturn, and I've been working with sellers in the up market. So some of this data and conversation that I needed to have, I was kind of honestly a little weak in. So I've been really, really doubling down on that. So right here, you can see we started back in March. He and I started on the 16th, but we were getting it down for general consumption. But let me just show you what's new as of yesterday. It might be today. What's the 17th today? Okay, so we actually, for all 5 counties, every day are producing these charts. And I'm going to come back to this page in a minute. But what you're going to see that we added yesterday was the ability to see how many price decreases and how many back on markets. And you're also seeing that there's price increases. So what was important to me is, okay, 3% of the market is having a price decrease. That's probably pretty normal. I mean, we realtors use it all the time. And when I looked at what the price decreases are, most of them are under 5%, right? So it's just realtors kind of refreshing, getting in front of people. We also were kind of curious, if you listen to the media, I'm thinking everybody's pulling their houses off the market, nobody's letting anybody in. These over here are canceled or temporarily off the market, and it just shows you those numbers are not like anything crazy that should worry us. And you'll also notice, so when you get under the covers, like you would expect a spike of closings at the end of the month. That's when we all tend to read our contracts. So just take what I wanted was, what I was trying to do is have some daily trend between our monthly snapshots that Pro puts out and gives us February to March in totality, right? And that stuff's just coming up now. But this is a way to sort of, if people are asking, like right now, we actually saw more properties get accepted offers last week than new properties that came on market. So when we're looking at low inventory, that's not, causing us a big problem yet, right? We're still seeing that happen. Now, over time, we'll watch what happens. But the other thing was, I wanted to, up here, we added, so when we say in the 4 weeks, that's how many actives came, I wanted you to know at the end of March how many were total active, right? Because if we get 1,000 new actives, again, in context, how many properties are currently active or how many properties are currently pending. So I asked them to add that. So we've actually done that. These numbers right here, just to tell you how proud I am of Pro and their commitment to just delivering what our members need and be responsive. I'm going to show you where this comes from. They literally have to go in by hand and pull this every day and type this in for all 5 counties. I'm going to show you where you can find it for yourself, but they responded. There is no way to pull this from an MLS field or for Matrix. So this is new, and their staff every day is pulling this for all of this. What I really, really heard some people describing when they were looking at the information, I want to make sure that Future Home Realty agents understand, is over here when we did canceled, I was trying to see how many people were getting out of the market. We all know that there's sellers that have their house on the market, but they're not really in the market. We've all seen them. They're just sitting there almost like a Zillow, but make me move price. So I was curious if we saw some of those people pull out, or people that really weren't committed to selling. And my personal feeling is a lot of these people are people that just didn't have a compelling reason to be in the market. And then the temporarily off the market, again, we can understand that as people are just getting their bearings on, their health, their safety, their family. So we actually, on every single day, you'll see what closed in the last few days, the dollar volume and the number of properties, and then the prior year. Now, one of the things, again, I'm hearing other realtors in our area talk about incorrectly, is they're taking those two numbers and they're sort of like, oh my God, there's so many fewer things closing. But what we really need to know is that we started this year with 27% less properties to sell. So we actually, for the month of March in Pinellas County, we actually ended with 22% more closed sales than 2019. So again, just make sure if you're talking to people that you kind of are clear on what the numbers mean. And the two biggest things that I see being kind of misunderstood is that, they look at these two numbers, they start freaking out, but you have to realize, again, there were, a third more properties for sale over here. And then the other thing is, and again, like in the last 8 to 14 days, looking at a little bit of a decrease. Again, as we're coming out of an end of month or something, you'll see some of that, right? Last week, some stuff that didn't close at the end of the month rolled to the first week of the month. So, just talk to your people about why that could be. But I think the biggest thing is, go back up here. There is a sheet that explains on the first sheet what those numbers represent. And then this is, kind of what's the rolling 4-week average. So if you have questions, they need to add in here, if they haven't done it yet, the definitions for the back on market. But here's the one thing I want you to know on back on market. I heard somebody else say, oh my God, that means that all the contracts are falling apart because people are freaking out. No. When you look at back on market right now, I looked at Pinellas County yesterday. I think they were like, well, what's the number here? 66. I was looking at a 7-day rolling average and it was like 208. There were 16 that decreases and most of them were less than 5%. So realize that back on market could be someone that was temporarily off of market that now says, all right, I'm ready to have people either I've got virtual open house options working so I can come out of temporarily off market, cancel conditionally is coming back. Expired listings are like, they're still in the market. The agent just didn't have their paperwork done. They're back on. And then, pendings that come back. On the pendings that come back, again, some of those could be that people's jobs and financial situation has changed in a way that they're no longer qualified under the lending guidelines or, income guidelines. So just, I'll take a pause right there and just take a minute and talk about any questions you guys have about that. Is that helpful?
Hey, Cyndee, this is Mary Diaz. I just jumped in. How are you? That's
Good.
wonderful. That's wonderful. I wish GTAR would have done that, but that's not here or there. One question I have for you, when you say Tampa Bay, does that include all the counties or
Great
just
question,
Hillsborough County?
Great question, Mary. So first of all, again, at Pro and as I got installed this year, I talked about collaboration and the power of V and the geese flying together. So everything we are doing in this, in particular in this crisis, is to be a good neighbor. So you will find all the stats for Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, Manatee, and Sarasota because we have members in all of those every day. So it is open to, if you are a GTAR member or Hernando or Pasco, somebody else, you can follow the same link. Go to the Pro website, go to stats. All of it is not behind a wall. You can access it, you can use it, you can educate your people. And I hope, my hope is, again, that we are bringing good information to the market and fear's easy, but, bringing the facts is what we need to do, right? The last housing crisis was the last recession was caused by housing and, completely broken financial fundamentals. Many believe we'll come out of this recession with housing because, again, we are the good news and the bright spot on that. Does that answer your question, Mary?
Yes, I agree. Collaboration, cooperation, everything that we need to do in this time and forward, not just this time, it needs to be going forward. Thank you, Cyndee. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
So you guys understand that that's available to everybody, regardless of board affiliation.
Yeah. And I was passionate about our education. We were positioned really strongly to offer virtual, live streaming of all these certifications. And so I got the board and the leadership at Pro to agree. We actually went president to president and offered it. And, as of last week, Greater Tampa offered it to all their members. Sarasota offered it. West Pasco has talked, but not yet really made a decision. But the difference is anybody can take any of our classes. Instead of $15 a day, it might be $30, which is still lower than you'll ever see it again. But if you know a president, feel free to encourage them, but that's really their decision. And I honor that. We're not going to overstep our bounds, but we have reached out to all of our neighbors to make that available. And if you know a realtor, if they're future home realtor members in Orlando, they completely, like we had CIPS this week, $150 for non-partnered associations. Orlando has said that because of their commitment to their instructors and stuff, they're not going to do it and offer it. So, but you're still available instead of $75 for $150, which is the normal NAR royalty fee. So normally it'd be a $500 class for $150. So there's no bad news. It's just that some of these leaders have brought their members more value. And so you're benefiting from that. So I want to show you one more thing. Let me share my screen again. Let me pull down my matrix. So you guys might laugh at me because I keep asking David all these questions. And again, I don't know how many of you, well, what I don't use, I'm not really in tune with what it is. That's what's great about what we share here, because all of a sudden you're like, I didn't know I had that tool. I didn't know I had that tool. So, so let me tell them I'm going to read them later. Hold on. So how many of you use this Market Watch or have even looked at it lately? Anybody? Yeah. So
Yeah.
we were trying to get this back on market. We were trying to get all this stuff, and we were like, we actually went all the way through the chain. We could not pull it as a field to make a report in the MLS. But here's the thing, guys. This is super. So what had happened to me is this Market Watch had fallen below the fold, so I didn't even know it was there. And so David, in doing his research, he's like, well, isn't this what you're looking for? I was like, oh my gosh, totally. Okay, so the deal here is it only goes in these increments. So really it's 7 days, 3 days, today, or 24 hours, right? And you could look at commercial, income, vacant land, but most of us are residential, so let's stick with that. But here's the really cool part. You can set it up to whatever you want. But let's say you're looking at, like here, here's going to be like Pinellas County condos that are 2 bedrooms. Okay. So when I go out here and save, all these are going to be, and it's the last 7 days. So what I can then go in and do is I could click on back on market. And literally every property that came back on the market, you see, and you see what it came from: expired to active, canceled to active, TOM. But look at that. I'm going to show you the price decreases. A lot of them are like really insignificant. I mean, again, so don't, I met with a appraiser, John Barcelo. I did a 35-minute interview that I'm still putting together to share, but I asked him yesterday, what are you seeing in the market? He said, here's the deal. We came off 3 strong months. So and for the first time in probably 5 years, all of us won't be cussing out appraisers because they look backwards, and that's what we want to use right now. So he said, right now the data's good. And I asked him if banks were instructing them to adjust for the COVID-19. He said, no, we're not seeing that. But one of the things, like I said, I'll go back out here. So this is what back on market, and you can see that gives you the better idea of where we're pulling that number. But let's look at price decreases. So look at, what strikes me when I look at it is, 1.2, 4.04, 1.69. We are looking at normal price adjustments in my feeling that we have every day in the MLS. Every day, part of managing our listing, getting it in front of people, refreshing. But if you were in a situation and you were with a seller and they're like, or a buyer, the prices are dropping, it's 10%, but well, here's the data, here's in the last week, like we're just seeing adjustments that we normally would, where might put it back in front of people, draft some interest. But fundamentally, the one thing that I noticed for myself, I'm just going to show it to you here. Sometimes I like to sort it on current price, because when you have an $80,000 property and you adjust it and it's 6.25, well, again, $800 is 10%, right? So again, all these numbers, when you get into data, it's really important, I find, for me, to have context. Look at this, a $100,000 property, dropped 10,000, but it's 11.41. So, again, if somebody sees that and goes, oh my God, so if if the other one's adjusted in like when they happen, but for yourself, you might notice as I go through them, that it's really a lot of these big adjustments are because small numbers turn into big percentages, right? So just be aware of that when you're looking, even for yourself. The first time I looked at it, I was like, wow, 11%. And, then what's true? What's true is a lot of those are, right now anyway, are those smaller numbers. And again, we all know sellers that really aren't being realistic. And I think some of these adjustments we see may also give us windows. Like if you can set this up, I'll give you another option. You can customize it using the map feature. So say I wanted to pull, West Chase. You can actually go in here and you could say, I want to pull within 2 miles of, Clearwater High, or I want to pull in an address, or I want to be within a work location. And what does that look like? And you can actually get all those things to the neighborhoods. Again, you have the majority of the features. For me, for instance, a lot of times I'm working with people doing vacation rentals, right? So I can go down here and add a field for the properties that offer 1 to 7 day rentals. See, are people adjusting those prices down? But just, you have a lot of power right here. Play around with it and really kind of, that kind of information can make you really be somebody that people gravitate towards right now, because they're looking for guidance and good information. In my experience, I've had a couple of people reach out to me and introduce themselves to me based on some of that information I've been able to share online in that message. I'll just pause a minute there and answer any questions about this stuff.
Are you guys? I mean, this is really good stuff, Cyndee. I got to tell you, both what you're pointing out here that's available in Stellar, right, under the Market
Right.
Watch. I don't think, I'm not knee deep in it myself, but I don't recall seeing that, and mine might have fallen below the fold as well. Number one, number two, the stuff that pros put together and pulling that in, that is, I can't reiterate enough, guys, that how important this data is going to be. Because I don't know if you remember when Brian Heckman was on our office meeting, but he said, hey, look, times of crisis generally create a truth vacuum, right? And when there's a truth vacuum, it gets filled with a lot of non-truth or a lot of speculation or a lot of, and so don't get caught up into a speculative, hey, here's what I think. Well, you know what I think really doesn't matter, but let's just go look at what's happening, right? Let me back it up with some facts and take a look and analyze it. And if you guys can get really good, and it doesn't take, Cyndee's obviously poured over this stuff a lot, right? So I have a sense that some of you are feeling maybe a little overwhelmed, like, oh, I could never go through. But you know what? If you spent an hour playing with this stuff, you would say, oh, that's cool. Oh, look at that feature. Oh, I wonder if I did this, right? I mean, Cyndee, how did you get to the point where you were really diving deep into it?
So the other thing I did, and I can't remember, I pay a little bit each month now for this smart charts that's part. Now, Florida Realtors, Bob, and I haven't played with it, but they just announced a free stats. So it's kind of at the county level, I think, but it might be at the neighborhood level. But you can go in here, for example, and let's just put, I'll put a beach zip code. So I can look at Indian Rocks Beach and it'll give me a good snapshot of what's happening. And then it'll actually, it'll give me some of those numbers, but then it'll actually go to like each by neighborhood, what's happening. So, you know, some of these things are just, and then the other feature it has, so when you're talking about how do you sort of synthesize a lot of it quickly because we're all busy, is you could go to reports, and over here you can either do monthly, year-to-date, quarterly, yearly, and say I pulled condos in single, and for March, or, you know, I could pull any other month, but let's just go there. And so it's branded to me. So I could take this and do a Zoom video where my little fixture's like this in the corner and just say to people, hey, let me give you an update about what condos have been doing the last month in Indian Rocks and Indian Shores. You know, actually we saw 3.6 more condos come on the market, and you know, pendings did drop and closed sales drop, but a lot of those were hard to access. But again, look at those numbers, 17 and 20. So at a time when vacation rentals got cleared, it makes sense. So what we're going to want to do is keep our eye on, as things open up, what does that look like? But look at these numbers. So then also just realize that we're still down 7.6% on the year. So we have fewer things to sell in 2020 than we did a year ago. And yet we're up on pending. So we've had fewer things to sell, but we have almost 11.5% more things pending, and we've had over 25% more closed, right? So those big variations are, in a bigger picture, are like this year is stronger than that year. And if you go down here to median price, we've actually seen it go up 11% over last month and up 4% over last year. So, you know, and then they write up a little thing here, but you could just easily do that on your Facebook page, like do it on Zoom, and then you publish it to Facebook or YouTube. Again, how long is it taking to sell? You know, we're getting into that 90-day mark. It's just, again, part of that is seasonal. People come here in the spring and we kind of got that derailed. So we may see a little bit more, but, you know, we're still seeing that in that 95, 94.6 asking price to sold ratio. So as you can see, it's, you know, people aren't taking 20% off the price. Now we'll keep watching and see how long this health crisis goes on. But again, that's part of, you know, what we can do. And if you have specifics about your neighborhood, you know, let me know. I will tell you guys, I'm gonna pause here, a really important message for people you care about right now. And that's this: 50% of the people that own property today have more than 50% equity in their property. 27% have their properties completely paid off. And right now, a lot of people, you know, they own businesses, they have jobs that are maybe not, you know, maybe they're in a commission like we are, maybe it's you yourself, but there's a lot of wisdom to considering maybe a home equity line of credit, but pull the credit out and put it in another account. Because when we saw the last downturn, when the banks get funky, they just go, yeah, we're taking away that line of credit. Like, you had it there. You think you have a safety net. You think you have something there, and it's gone. And so they just go, yeah, we closed all those. We took that down. So if you get it, and let's say your house has $50,000 in equity, you can pull it and put it in a savings account. Yes, there might be a little bit of a cost. It's gonna be a lot cheaper. Like right now, I think the rates could be, I think they're around 4% or whatever. That 4% money is a lot better than your credit card. It's a lot better than if things go longer than we think and somebody's business needs to keep functioning and needs some liquid cash. You know, that is a way you could really help people. And the conversation I had with John Barcelo yesterday was this: in the near term, values are going to be, as far as from an appraisal standpoint, more likely the best they're for the next 6 months. And the reason is that we're all imagining that there are people impacted by the loss of jobs or by other income aspects. And they're gonna be more motivated and more needing to price to sell. They don't have time on their side. So I believe that we're gonna see some things hit the market. I don't think they're necessarily going to give them away, but I think, you know, oftentimes we see kind of like a 10%, you know, swing. And what John did confirm is banks want a 90-day sale if they've got it. So if somebody comes on the market now and they go, okay, normally I would get 400 for my condo, but I'm going to price it at, you know, 380 and get it moved. I mean, if you've got something sitting at 400, it just got harder to sell it for 400. Or if you own a property in that community and you want to pull out equity, you just lost 20 grand. So I think when we're talking about how to connect with our clients and how to provide value, but not be like sleazy salesmen, you know, just in that conversation, you might say, you know, a lot of people, you know, that I'm talking to are worried about how long this could last and, you know, may not have the 6 month safety net that we all talk about. And what, you know, the lenders I'm working with have shared is it's a great time to consider, you know, a home equity loan. and pull some savings over, and that might be an option, or cash out refinance. Not everybody's looking long term, right? If you're talking to someone that's thinking of selling in the next 2 years, 1 year, like this, that kind of, you don't want them doing a cash out refi, really, because that just put a bunch of expense that they can't get out, right? So again, a HELOC could be a good way to still keep them in the game for selling. You know, you didn't sabotage yourself trying to help a seller, but you might buy a seller some time that they don't have to be, you know, just depends. But it's been a really positive conversation, because a lot of us know and work with business owners, self-employed, 1099 people. And that's the kind of help that we could, as an expert, bring, and also, you know, help them understand that if they're getting an appraisal, like I said, I'll share the link when I finished it, but John talked about 3 ways that you can maximize your value. And he was really clear that appraisers are people too. So when the appraiser comes, it should look like it does for our photo shoots. That the first, you never get a second chance. And when they look at stuff with dishes in the sink, they're thinking the whole thing is not well maintained. Like, it definitely brings down condition. The second is, he said, pictures and data are paramount. So, you know, what I'm starting to do is I've taught myself the 360 camera thing now, but I'm offering it to my clients that might be doing a refi. You know, hey, if I can help you out, let me do a video tour, let me do a 360 tour. Because what he said is, you know, if we can't get good access, we're going to be more conservative in our valuation. So again, think of ways we can help people. And the third was, for the first time ever, appraisers are allowed to take information from the owner. So if the owner puts together a list of improvements, you know, time, ballpark value, you know, what they did, the appraisers are taking it. If they're even doing, like, if they're in a situation where they can't come into the home because of a health concern, they are actually with the seller doing either FaceTime, Google Duo, Zoom calls, all of that, and having them take them through the house. But if you know someone that's doing it, we can be a real consultant sharing with them, hey, if you are in the process or thinking of refi or doing a home equity loan, let me give you 3 tips so you get the most value possible. Yeah, Beverly. You're muted.
I got it. The local market insight report that you have up there, is that the one you pay for, or how did you get to that report?
I do, and I don't know what I pay. And again, Bob might be able to check. Florida Realtors was supposed to be coming out with something new, and they were a couple months ago, and I just, you know, in the meantime, I had paid for this, and I don't even know what I paid for it. Some little amount, you know, each month. But they have something free, but it's you go in there. It's where you're going to find it to explore is on the homepage of Stellar. It's right here, called Smart Charts.
Thank you.
Yep. And one more thing, I don't know the answer yet. Like, I haven't played with it. David just brought it to my attention. We're going to put together another video. Is Remind has launched a virtual tour option as well in their features. So we'll figure that out and we'll come up with a video. Also, I think Bob, and I can post it, but we did a video on how to use the that Market Watch feature, and we sent it out to all the brokers to let them know that.
You did send that out, or you are going to?
David supposedly sent it out like 3 days ago, but all the brokers I've talked to haven't found it. So I'm like beating my head up against the wall, because we're having had the top 5 things right now. So I'll forward you what he forwarded to the board. But I asked him to lay out the charts, the Market Watch, I think it was the education links, and 2 other things. I don't know, at the speed we're going, I kind of lose track. That's why I have to have a list.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So if you
Okay.
have it, you can send that to me, or have him, you know, resend or whatever. That'd be great.
Okay, great. I'll tell you guys one other thing that is kind of been a huge asset to me right now. It's there's a company called Keeping Current Matters, and you can go to their blog and read every day information about the market. They are the leading premier of distilling this and telling the story as a realtor, bringing value, what we can do. And it's a membership. I think it's $29 a month. They have a 2-week free subscription. But what is super cool about it is they give you all the charts, all the data, so that you can sound really smart. And and when you join at $29, you can actually automatically personally brand it all and post it. I tend to be less of a fan of that. I want to take the picture and put something in it because I don't want someone looking down Facebook and see 10 of them that look the same. I think you lose a lot of credibility that way personally. So you might see me sometimes post one chart and talk about that. Like we saw the financial institutions come out with, they think it'll be a V recovery. And first it was Goldman Sachs and then 3 more came. Well, they gave us a graph of that. So I just went on a quick, either wrote a post or Facebook Live and said, here's what leading financial, consultants are saying. Again, we'll keep watching it, right? We don't know. No one has a crystal ball, but here's what we're saying. They gave the data that showed that in the last 5 recessions, housing increased in 3 of them. And in the 1991, it decreased by 1.9% with the oil embargo and some things with the Gulf War. And then in 2008, it was the big dive, right? Well, 2008 was a hurricane. Like it needed to be blown away. Infrastructure takes years. Really what we're in right now is a snowstorm, right? So people are in, we can't do it. But when the snow melts, all the fundamentals, we were good going into this. So being able to tell that story. And so what they've done for their members is they actually have a Facebook group only for members. So anybody can go and read their stuff on their blog. But if you belong, you can customize it. But they have a Facebook group 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They are bringing the latest information and explaining it and giving the slides for us to be the voice of facts and reason instead of fear. So an example would be the unemployment numbers just came out on April 8th. It showed 700,000 people unemployed. Well, 56% of it was hospitality, restaurants, hotels. Telling that story about those people are going to get back to work when stuff opens up, right? And on the same hand, on May 8th, we are expecting 60 million to be unemployed. So again, they parse through the data and kind of break it down, like who is that? What does that look like? But it's
Cyndee,
very
what's that group again? What's that?
Keeping Current Matters. You know what? Let me give you an affiliate link so I get a free month or whatever. So I'll post it in our site. That would help me out since we're all going into that. And I think you get $25. If I referred you, you get $25 and I get $25. So it's a good thing. But they actually every month produce, let me go in here and just show you guys actually. I'll do a better job of it.
Cyndee, while you're doing that, I have a question. This is Vilma.
Sure.
Well, we're talking about the market. Do we see, I know it's a little early, or Bob can answer too, about the short sale foreclosures, say end of the year? Are we going to see the increase on that one?
So can I just say one thing to it, Bob, and you can talk to it. But here's the thing that I would encourage you. First of all, Pro is having another short sale foreclosure class in May. We sold out 500 people last month.
I'm going next month.
Okay. So the thing is, realize that everything is so low right now, and this is where the news is going to freak people out. In 2008, you have 100 foreclosures, you get one more, foreclosures increase 1%. Now you have one foreclosure, you get another one, they've just increased 100%. So, really know your information so that people are not scared unnecessarily. So, again, are there going to be some people, maybe the question becomes, I told you 50% of the people have equity and 27% of people have it paid off. So I don't know how much of a need there is in some ways. So, again, there are going to be some people hurt, but I think realistically, currently, I think it matters on how fast we get through it. And obviously the government has learned from 2008 and is trying to keep people employed and moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I will second that motion. That if you guys have been on these sessions long enough with me, maybe to the point of over bullish, but I am over bullish, or I'm bullish, extremely bullish on how we're going to come out of this thing. like Cyndee said, hey, with the fundamentals, we had the underlying principles of our fundamentals going into it were just fine. Matter of fact, more than just fine, like rocking and rolling, kind of, better than fine. And I think once we remove, like, the snow melts, as Cyndee says, right? Or I've used the illustration of, hey, look, we've intentionally put a dam in the river called our economy, right? Just so we can keep everybody safe. And then once we open up that dam and say, okay, it's time to go, I truly believe that there's a ton of pent up demand behind. When I say I'm not saying housing demand. Yeah, housing demand, part of it, but I mean demand for everything. I mean, people are going to be jonesing to, just, I'm going to just go rub up against people because I can, kind of thing, right? It's, I just, give me a chance to get close, right? And so with that, they're going to be out and about. The economy is going to get back to rocking and rolling sooner than later. So nothing wrong, Vilma, with being prepared. Nothing wrong with having it more. Because if not now, maybe it's 3 years from now when all of a sudden short sales are becoming, the thing at the time. It doesn't hurt to have that education. So I never would dissuade you from that. But I am not a firm believer that we're going to have this mass influx, nowhere near like we did in 08 and 09. So go ahead, Cyndee.
Thank you.
So, I mean, if you really want to, sound like the smartest person in the room, this is where you come, because they actually give it to you in a script. They give it to you in an audio. They give you all the slides to use however. They let you edit the PowerPoint. They let you put your name on it. So you look like, it's amazing. And these people are so credible, and so what they're doing is just mind blowing. I'm going to close some of this down while it's coming up here. Let's see if I can.
Cyndee, you'll post that in Just Us Agents at FHR on.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And Cyndee, too, while you're pulling this, I'm sorry. While you just real quickly, while you're pulling this down, can you make sure that you give yourself 3 minutes to talk about where you're dialoguing with your people, like where you say, hey, look, this is a great way to go reach out to your people.
Cyndee, just a quick question. I think your issue, what you mentioned about the HELOC, I think that's awesome. Because back in 08, 09, banks froze the HELOCs. And people were not able, including myself, were able to access our HELOCs. And that might come next. So I think that was a great thing that you said. I just want to say that.
Do you guys have Cyndee? Can you guys hear Cyndee or no?
No.
No, I think, hey, Cyndee, I don't know if you can hear us, but I think we may have lost you, or your connection got a little slow. Let's see if she can come back. We'll give her a shot. And by the way, guys, take advantage of this. Keeping Current Matters. I had never heard of this. This looks really, really good. But before you go sign up, make sure you get that link from Cyndee so she can get the benefit and you can as well.
Bob, I have a question about the new form, the COVID showing form.
Yeah. Go ahead while we're waiting for Cyndee.
Yeah, I didn't know if the office hours were going to be done in 10 minutes.
That's right. Go ahead.
So I have my limited service,
You're able to,
and I don't understand if I have to get it signed before every showing.
here,
I'm not the listing
here's
agent.
another thing they're talking about, right? Is that people say, well, it's going to crash like it did in 2008 with all the appreciation.
What just happened?
I think she's coming in and out.
Oh, I didn't hear what happened. Came in and out, but I wanted to know if I needed the form since I'm limited service, because your email said mandatory, and then Jim said we're still in transition.
Yeah, you know what? Let's see if Cyndee comes back, and Nicole, if nothing else, I'll call you or text me so I can have
I
your
already
number.
emailed Jim. It's just I know that Friday Friday is the last day for her to update my listing, so that's why I'm asking now.
Gotcha.
Cool.
And I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
I absolutely will. I just want to see if I can get Cyndee back.
Thank you.
Text me so I can have your number to come.
Okay, if I don't hear back from Jim soon, I'll let you know.
Perfect.
You guys hear me?
Now we can. Sorry, we lost you for about 3 minutes there. Oh, now we lost you again. Oh, looks like I'm the host now. So maybe she got disconnected permanently. So,
I think she's probably going to go out and come back in.
Can you
okay.
hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's that whole cell phone trying to like that's so crazy. It's so crazy. So again, you know I've been sharing some of this because I've just brought it into my language, but it's all here. I didn't create it, it's just, and so for instance, let me just show you real quickly what's possible is if I want to share it and right here, I can do personalize it on, and then watch, it'll come up and it'll have my information that I put into their system. So now it says Cyndee and Jack Haydon. It's got my information branded there, right? So all of that is just super. I mean, it's the best $30 I'm spending right now. But again, what I would warn you is if you start just doing everything cookie cutter and not adding any conversation, it just looks like all the turnkey copied social media, I think. So I would rather take a slide like this and say to my clients, hey, I've been talking to some of my banking friends, and they're talking about how it could be a smart idea to consider a home equity loan or a cash out refi to be your own lifeline during this. And over 53% of you have more than 50% equity. If you need some tips, I actually have some appraiser friends who've shared 3 tips to help you make more money, and I'd love to just help you. Those kind of things are going to bring people closer to you than just throwing up a slide and thinking that that's going to make them think you know the market, in my opinion. But here's the thing. They literally give you every single slide. They back it up with where the data has come from. This is the most real deal. And then on top of it, they update it through the month. So it's like looking at, what are mortgage things done over time? What is this done? So you can use these slides. You can actually go back 3 years and pull others if you want. This talks here like the mortgage credit, how it used to be really loose, but now it's tight. That's another reason why we shouldn't see crazy. We had 8.5 months. Now we have 3.1. So again, we've got more buyers wanting to buy than sellers to sell.
We lost her again.
You lost me again?
Yeah, now you're back. You're kind of hit and miss on us a little bit. I think you're good now.
I can always do this another time from our site, but anyway.
No, you're good.
Hopefully this is helpful for you guys.
Oh, it's been a ton, and please do get that link up so we can get you credit for if
that would
people
help
sign
me
up.
out.
Yeah.
All right, give me a second here, because what they did that was a super big commitment. Times a week at 11 o'clock, they do about a 15 to 20 minute update and tell you what just happened so we can break that news before people are even going to see it anywhere else and make good sense of it. So I didn't see Fridays yet, but you're going to see there's 9,000 realtors in here. And let's see if it'll show up. Come on. Anyway, Steve Harney and his lead researchers, they come on, and then people are sharing ideas on how they're making videos, how they're getting that information.
And I would like to mention, then she is right. Some people, I saw it on Facebook, then you can see similar posts.
Right. And so that's what she was talking about when she says, don't just, automatically use because then you see, it's like, it's almost like when we were all following Michael Mayer, right? And people would say, hey, put a thing up, like, what would you sell your house for today? Right. And then all of a sudden I saw 48 Facebook posts that said the same thing, right? Because he had recommended it. So take the information, personalize it to you, right? And then go out and I would, again, remember, we teach, just take 150 people rather than 15,000, right? And say, hey, look, call these people individually and maybe even have a conversation with them rather than trying to mass communicate with them. You know, that we will borrow that. Remember Michael Mayer's pyramid, you know, communication
7
pyramid.
levels.
One-on-one is better, right? And the 7 levels of communication. So we may have lost Cyndee permanently,
Yeah.
but that's okay. I think we got a ton of great information. So Nicole, are you still here?
Yeah,
No.
I'm still here.
Okay, cool. So the answer is you have a limited to where you're the owner, right?
Yeah.
Is it owner occupied?
Yeah, on and off. I've been here I've been here like half and half kind of.
Yeah. So anytime there's a showing, yeah. So since you are the occupant, that's who we need to have fill that out, right? So Mara should have you complete that as the owner because you are the owner. You're not the agent in this case. You're an owner in this case.
I guess I was gonna add it to the listing, but before this all came out, I did get a showing for today. So
Yeah, I mean, if you can get it signed before today's showing, or at least put it in front of them, great. If not, I mean, again, it's not going to be a. I'm not telling you it's going to get us out of jail free if somebody wants to sue us later.
Yeah, I get the reason for it. It's kind of, I guess for me it was implied, but implied that they're taking a risk by even leaving their house, basically.
Right.
But yeah, I think my issue is, for example, if I get Mara to have me sign it as the owner, and then I have her attach it to the listing.
Yep.
Or I could just sign it and send it to her. But then what if the buyer's agent doesn't sign it? Does it not have to be signed every single time?
Yeah, every showing, we would want it signed by every person showing.
So then I would have to, as the for sale owner, I'd still have to enforce it.
Correct. Yes, that's correct, because that's what you are. Yeah. So as people call you and they want to show the property, say, okay, great. I need you to email me this, COVID
so if we had like a
showing.
pre-existing thing, like a inspection or showing that came up really quickly, we would probably not be able to do it. But if we had the time to get them to sign, then we have them sign it. Correct.
You would absolutely, and just say, hey, look, I need you to download this. It's on the MLS. It's right there. And yes, please sign it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. I think
no problem.
Bob, if there's more than one person coming in, do they both need to sign it or just one?
I see what you're saying.
If
So
it's
like multiple people in a group. Yeah, I would just have one person.
A husband. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just one person in the group is fine.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, good question. I also got some questions back that I didn't cover in the video because it's a new form to me too. Is what if a tenant's there? One person has, it's there, but it's a staged property, and the home stager has a live-in person that shows the property. You know what I mean? That you've seen those high-end staging where they actually have someone live in the house free, kind of to be there. So yes, I said whoever the occupant is the one that needs to disclose if they know if anybody is, coughing around.
So if we understand correctly, if it's for, I also have my other listing is 5 tenants. Would I have to have 5 different tenant signatures?
You'd have to have one person who is the responsible party, right? Now, I remember back when I lived in a house with 4 other roommates. I don't know if there is a description of a responsible party, but but that being said, one person would have to take ownership and say, hey, look, as far as we know, me and the rest of the people living in a house, because I'm not going to make, everybody over the age of 18 fill one out just because, if there are multiple people living in a house. So I would say, hey, look, to the best of your knowledge, does anybody that's here have, tested positive or showing signs or whatever the verbiage is in that document?
It's almost like I'd have to get it re-signed every single day, like by 5 different people. Well, because there's 5 different units.
Well, if there are 5 different units, they each need to fill one out. If there's 5 units.
Oh,
yes.
gosh.
Yeah.
Well, this is my issue. I have the inspection on Tuesday, and I don't really know if I can get this all done before.
Well,
Tuesday.
just get it in front of them. I mean, all you can do is I know, trust me, I got our notice out the day it was dropped on us. And here's my thought. I mean, how effective or not this is, I'm with you, Nicole. I think, some of this stuff would be kind of implied, right?
Yeah.
But the minute Florida Realtors makes it available, right, then I am, as a broker of 1,100 people, I have to put it out there because I would therefore be considered
Can I ask
derelict in
one
my
more
duty.
question? The way it's worded, I guess unless I call the legal hotline, makes it sound like the sellers is signing and saying, I'm not aware of any tenant issues such as symptoms of COVID.
Yeah, I would ask them and see.
So it's
my
definitely
impression.
worded wrong.
My impression would be it should be the occupant of the property. If it
Yeah.
happens to be a tenant, then get the tenants. And if it happens to be 5 tenants and there's 5 different units, then yes, all 5 would have to complete that.
Yeah. Gosh, they really sprung that on us. I feel like they could have given us 2 weeks to comply or something.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, at the end of the day, we do the best we can and try and, you know, and comply as you know, best we can. I'm not saying that I'm going to mandate that you decline showings if you don't have this all filled out, because it wasn't mandatory a week ago today, right? So
Yeah.
I'm saying do the best you can to try and get it done, and at least to say we put it in front of them, and or the buyer's saying, hey, look, you know, I'm going to look at it and I'm recognizing that this was not completed, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway.
Okay.
Have a
Yeah, 'cause so
follow-up.
far I've sent it to the seller, so I have to change my who I'm sending it to possibly.
Yeah, I would. You're welcome to call the Florida Legal Hotline, but my impression is the person that should be filling it out is the person who's occupying the property.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
And
Okay.
so just to make sort of triple sure, because I'm having showings this afternoon.
Yep.
Vacant homes is not required.
Not
It's only
required.
for
Still
owner-occupied.
not a bad idea, but I mean, again, I'm not as concerned about a vacant home. But
Okay.
But however, I mean, technically, someone coming in, if you're showing a vacant home, right, and you have a buyer, I suggest you have
I have a buyer, yes.
then I suggest you have it filled out, because the buyer has to. There'd be nice to have a recognition from the buyer that, hey, look, I don't know, you know, what if somebody 3 minutes before your buyer walked in there went and licked the countertop,
True.
right? You don't know this, right? And so it would be beneficial. Am I saying this is perfect and I'm excited about this? The answer is absolutely not, right? But the answer is we have to protect ourselves, because again, I will say this: if you aren't thinking that Morgan & Morgan is already firing up the printer on his COVID-related, no one told you that this was dangerous lawsuit, all right?
Right.
He's already filming the commercials. Trust me. All right.
Okay, but if it's vacant, then I just need it for my buyer. I wouldn't need it
Correct.
for
Yes,
the
the
seller,
buyer still
right?
has to acknowledge that there's a risk going into any property right now.
Okay.
Vacant,
Okay, so
non-vacant.
if I'm showing 3 vacant homes, I can put the 3 addresses in one form and be done with it?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with same buyer, 3 different addresses. Yes, even if they're not completed by the seller. If you don't have anything from the seller, I would check the listing agent. Say, hey, have you completed one of these for this home? Because ideally, you'd have one that's already been completed by the owner or occupant of the home.
Okay. Yeah, it is so new that I
No, I get it. It's
haven't
new to all of
seen
us.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just think about. I would think about this. If I had to try and say, hey, if I'm representing the buyer and the buyer said, hey, I got sick and no one ever told me. Well, how do I protect myself against that? Right? Well, how about if I have them sign this, and therefore you just think further down the road, like how would I defend this if someone ever came up against it, right? Same thing with the seller. Hey, no one ever told me that the buyers coming in could potentially, get me sick. Well, then I'm going to have the seller, the person who's occupying the property, sign this, right? Just to protect myself. Does that make sense, Marina?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Thanks very much, Bob.
Bob,
I gotta run.
follow up.
Okay, no problem. Good to see you. Question? Somebody else had a question out there?
I have a question, Bob. Vilma again.
Oh, hey, Velma.
So it's only
If
showing.
you guys need to run, by the way, have a great weekend. We'll see you. Stay safe. Keep up at it. And anything we can do, let us know. But I'll stick around if everybody has more questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So Bob, my question is, so that's only for showing, but I think it's safe to have the buyers sign to or the seller during inspection, right? Appraisal and walkthrough. What do you think?
Yeah. I'd say anytime you have in-person contact on a home,
Right.
right?
Okay,
And so, and ideally, and again, it's going to take some time to ramp. We're probably going to get this ramped up just in time for it to not matter.
True.
Right. But that's okay, right? We may as well ramp up. And And again, the reason why I'm having to do it is because once Florida Realtors makes it available, then Morgan & Morgan would say, well, you're a broker of a large office and you didn't let your agents know that this form was available, right? So I have to put it out there and require it. Now, am I going to hold up your commission check on it? No, because at that point, with time to get to closing, because we've already shown the property, right? It's too late. And you can't go getting these backdated, right? No one's going to sign it and say, oh, remember that house you looked at 3 days ago? I need you to sign this saying that there could have been COVID there. They're going to say, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not signing it. That's why it all has to be done prior to the showing.
Right. Yeah.
Makes
I've been
sense?
showing like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and prior to showing, I asked the buyer, like, have you been in contact with person positive with COVID?
That's good.
Or have you traveled recently?
Right.
And then when I show up, I'm wearing masks and they don't. It's like, okay.
Right.
So-
I mean, I yeah, absolutely. And you, by the way, the overarching thing on all of this is safety, right? If you ever feel like no one deal, no one showing is ever that important to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we will get through this. If you ever get the sense that, hey, look, I'm just not comfortable. I have, maybe you're in a position where you've got high risk people living with you at home, right?
Mhm. Right.
And you just have to really be extra, very, very, very careful.
Careful.
And I would you have my full permission to say, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to refer this out to somebody else or whatever, right? Just because I'm not comfortable going with that.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Cool.
And, it's Mary. So
Hey,
I want
Mary.
to ask you a question. You're saying for the sellers, it's a good thing to have, but it's not necessary if it's a vacant home?
Correct. Because they're filling out to the best of their knowledge. Yeah, I would say it's not necessary because there's a lot less in person. But if I were the buyer agent showing that property, I would still request one. Say, hey, look, do you have one of these filled out? And you say, no, it's vacant. I didn't do it. If I were the buyer agent, I'd still make my buyer fill one out saying, hey, look, you recognize that the seller in this property did, kind of like what we do with on a disclosure doc, right? When the sellers don't complete the seller's disclosure.
Right.
And
Okay.
they say, hey, seller refused to complete, right? Say, hey, look, there's no document, but I'm going to have you sign this knowing that I can't tell you who's been in this property before we get there, right? So I want to make sure you're aware of the risks and you're electing to continue on.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Make
Thanks.
sense? Cool.
I got a
Yes.
question.
Hey, April.
So my mom passed away last week, and her
I'm sorry to
house.
hear that.
Sorry.
Thank you. Her house passed on to my brothers and I, and we want to do the for sale by owner. Cheryl Brandon was gonna, get it in the MLS for
Uh-huh.
me.
Yeah.
Do we have to do the whole checklist of all these documents when we do the limited?
Oh, she's going to do a limited services for you?
Yeah.
Right. Then there should be a limited services agreement checklist. I know we do limited services agreements for our agents who are owner occupied, and Mara handles that. So Mara, are you online right now?
I am. Hey, April, how are you?
Hey, good.
Good. So here's what you need. You just need a limited service agreement, a no brokerage relationship,
Okay.
MLS printout that's signed by the owner, a hold harmless, and then the commission requirement, as Bob will agree to, is the 2%. It's got to be 2%, and you can't charge any less than 2%.
Yeah, you got to offer at least 2% on the co-broke side.
Right.
Right. I
Yeah.
had it at 2.5.
Perfect.
But on the limited service agreement, where it's the commission to the broker, what do I put there? Do I put the 2.5% or because it would all go to the buy side?
So the way I've got it set up is, are you paying your teammate? Is she charging a fee?
I'm just giving her a flat fee.
Okay, so the flat fee would go in the first section. I think it's line 7, I believe.
Okay.
And then the commission that you're offering to the co-broke goes into the next section.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
Got it? Cool.
I think so.
Yeah, awesome. Perfect. I'm glad Mara was on the line because she does a lot of these. In my name, just because we made that new rule regarding agent owners.
Right. And I
selling their
just
own
wanted to make
properties.
sure I wasn't breaking any rules because,
And getting
I'm not a
everything
rule breaker.
we require on the limited services. Mar, is there a limited services agreement checklist or no?
There's not a checklist, but April, when she goes to put it into paperless pipeline, there's a
Yeah.
limited service box that she'll check and it'll tell her what she needs. You
Okay.
know what, in fact, I'll send you an email with what you need. That way you've got it in front of you.
So, can you just run through the list again of what I need, the limited service agreement, just make sure I didn't miss anything.
I was muted. Yeah, you need the limited service agreement,
Okay,
no brokerage relationship,
okay,
the MLS printout that's signed by the owner,
okay,
a hold harmless,
okay,
and that's it.
okay.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Awesome.
Yay.
Good deal. Glad Mara was on the line. Anybody else got a question before we head out? Nope. All good?
I like this extra content doing these in there. Yeah, I was like wanting to jump on and
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to continue to search for these. This is really good, and that was a lot of good information. When we have extra content, Mara confirmed we did record this one as well.
That is correct.
Awesome. So we'll load these. So if you ever want to go back and rewatch and say, what was that website she was talking about, or where did she go, and what was that market link, and all that stuff, you can always go back and review those as well.
nice.
Cool. Awesome. All right. There you go. I see it, Anna. Nice job. All right. Well, I'm going to run. If you guys have anything you need, you can reach out to me individually. And if not, we'll be back here Monday with our virtual office hours if you need anything.
All right.
Awesome.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody.